got that. I just Edwin just told me a fantastic joke. How's everybody doing this tonight? Hello, everyone. This is Michael Ray Newman, and I'm here with the one and only Edwin Britt. How you doing, E?
Hey, man. Always a pleasure to be with you, Michael. Welcome to the Shuffle Nation. Today is March 31st. I think there's something big happening, and it's not April Fool's Day tomorrow, man. Hey, there's things bigger happening than April Fool's Day tomorrow. Go for it.
That is a fact. Tomorrow is April 1st, and it is April Fool's. And I hope if you're like me, and since I've been like 4 or 3 to today years old, I've always had a little April Fool's joke for somebody, whether it be my kids, my wife, and most people don't fall for it, but I always taking that shot, right? I'm always trying to get those people. But today is the last day to get involved with Shuffle for that $10 if you know someone as an affiliate. And if you guys are on this call, you are an affiliate. And I am Michael Ray Newman, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we are, Edwin Britt, who is beautiful, North Carolina, having some fun down there. And I appreciate him being here tonight. He and I have had some really good conversations about what it looks like and what Shuffle looks like and the traction. What's really exciting to me, Edwin, is the fact that we've had some real big traction in the last 4 months, but we have so many corporate companies coming in now. And we have so many people coming in on the Shuffle platform. And it's been something that they've been able to really take and change their business and 10X a lot of it.
Yeah, Michael, it doesn't surprise me, man, because we have a process that yields predictable results. So when we align with people like Guy and ER, we're in the Shuffle Nation, and we got this fantastic solution called Shuffle, and we start leaning into a process that yields predictable results. Everywhere we go, we win, man. And that's why we're here. It's why we're part of this collaborative vision. And I just want to speak for a second about the price. We talked last week about price and cost, right? Embrace the opportunity, Shuffle Nation, that we're moving the price point up, because as we move the price point up, we're also moving up the offering, the depth of our solution. We're widening our solutions. We're being more targeted, more intentional. All of that is how you build and scale a business. So, hey, if I could ask you to do one thing, trust where we're going. We listen to you. We believe in you. We're all in this together. But man, we're Michael and I, 60 years, combined of professional experience and a lot of wins, a lot of failures. Trust where we're going, right? Let the fog lift, plug in. We're going to have a great ride. Everybody's going to win.
That's right. What's up, Greg? How you guys doing? I appreciate everybody just jumping in. What's going on, guys? Happy evening to everybody here. I know you may be connecting with us through Facebook, through one of our social platforms. We're also on YouTube. Over a dozen countries, 60,000 users, and we're growing daily. So I want to tell you right now, the conversations I have today, Edwin, you and I have been able to run a lot of different companies, and we've been involved in a lot of them. This right here is taking a lot of our bandwidth, is what we call it, and we're having a lot of great conversations, but they've all been directed on growing. And just because Shuffle, when you look at everything, the ancillary services you provide, opposed to what you get now, to what you get out of Shuffle, it's a slam dunk to how great it's been able to been able to impact my business, your business, and everybody else. But today we're talking about mindset of a champion, because here's what's happened. Guy and ER has invested in us and partnered with us, but the reason they've done that is so they could give you guys, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, MLMers, whatever business you're in, they've been able to build a platform and us to bring that in for us to talk to you guys about how to build a business, how to sustain a business, and more importantly, how to design a life, Edwin. And that's kind of what we want to talk about tonight as we go through this little Mindset of a Champion series. And for now, even though they're going to raise the price of Shuffle, this is going to continue. So go ahead, E, talk a little bit about that.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. You and I were talking offline before we went live tonight. We have a consulting business and a training business and a speaking business, which you guys are aware of, and all of you guys have businesses, right? So most of the people on tonight, and we'll see this in a recorded fashion at some point, have whatever primary business and you're using Shuffle inside of that, or this might be your primary business. And either way is fine, right? And I was sharing with Michael, I've had 19 coaching calls in the last 2 days with high performing individuals. And I've shared the same theme with all of them, mindset of a champion, unpacking a little bit. Michael and I keep unpacking a little bit of a mindset of a champion, because you never arrive and it's a journey, not a destination. And we want to give it to you in little bites. So tonight, we want to align with this. 4 things, and I'm going to remind you of 4 things we talk about frequently, and I'm going to combine that with 4 things tonight. And then Michael's going to elaborate on that and do all the magical things he does. But ultimately, what we talk about is building this solid bridge, this foundation, right? Because that's where you launch from. That's where your best accomplishments come from. So we talk about these 4 pillars of your business, no matter what business you have: lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment, and referrals. The big 2 gaps, we always talk about this, is where the money's lost is in client, where the money's spent is in client, is in lead generation. Where your time is typically overspent is in client fulfillment, right? Where your money is spent and lost is in lead conversion and referrals. So we got to get more efficient in point 2 and point 4. We got to be intentional here, and we can't spend too much time in point 3, client fulfillment. At least while we're doing that, satisfying the client and the client experience, we have to maintain these other 3 buckets, or we're going backwards, not forwards. And you're never standing still in your business. Michael can tell you that better than anybody. The guy runs 6, 7 businesses simultaneously, very successfully. Michael, are you ever standing still in your business, brother?
No, brother. You feel like you are some days, but if you're standing still, you need to look around and find out what you have to do to light a firecracker into you know what, because that's when you're losing track and losing. Someone just said the value of Shuffle has increased 10x since launched. $20 is the deal. So yeah, but as you look around your business, as soon as you feel like you've got it all covered, it's time to go back and reevaluate. Edwin, that was a beautiful point, bro.
Yeah, and Michael's so likable and so personable. People attach to him, but the reality is he's very, very intentional in his actions, right? He doesn't fall into things. He's very, very intentional in that. Puts a lot of work into it. He's very intentional. So we want to give you 4 things that are going to complement the things you're already doing well. So in all that you do in your lead generation, which goes to branding and marketing and all of those things, your lead conversion, whatever platforms, hopefully you're only using one platform, Shuffle, or complementing it with whatever CRM you're attached to, right? Your client fulfillment, and the big miss, Michael, you and I see this every day, man, is the referrals, right? The exponential dollars that people leave on the table on that back end. Just speak to that for just a minute, and then I'll jump into
you guys to understand. Thank you for bringing this up, Edwin. When I was selling knives door to door when I first got married, just got my girlfriend pregnant, had to get married, I was in panic survival mode. I was selling what we call knives door to door. And the whole thing was, you walk in and you're a college student. They don't have to buy from you. You just show it. And if they like it, they buy some. But so many times people get excited about selling their product. They sell it. I'm getting an order. Even at that age, such a little bit of a small problem at that age. You have to, I was getting the order and I forgot one thing. Hey, Mrs. Jones, who do you know around you, your neighbors, that would like to maybe possibly listen to my little spiel and buy knives? And they were like, oh my gosh, Michael Ray, you're so cute and we're having fun and you're a young kid and you got a little baby on the way. Everybody wanted to give me leads. And there was so many times that I just lost that. As I got older and I started doing different jobs, even to this day in Newman Construction, as I'm building businesses and I'm building kitchens and new homes and commercial buildings. Hey man, we're always looking at the next thing. We need some business. Who do you know, brother, can help me out? Who do you know that can do this? We still miss that today, Edwin. That right there, referrals in the back end is probably the number one miss that I see salespeople miss.
Exactly. And that's what we want to give you tonight, guys, is you're spinning 4 plates at one time, right? And I've seen Michael juggle. He actually can juggle, right? He can juggle 3. Call him out on that sometime. Next time we're going to do a big event sometime this summer. Get with Michael and say, "Hey, Michael, juggle for me." He can do it. Most people are challenged in spinning 4 plates, and what happens is they start spinning 1 plate, and the other 3 fall and break. Here's how we make sure we're doing that, and 4 simple steps, guys. And we're gonna be tight tonight for you. Is I want you to be. Encourage you. Like I came here today to recommend things to you tonight. It's your decision whether you implement them, but I hope you will. If you will, you'll be better. Number 1, be unique. In all that you do, find a way to separate yourself and create a competitive advantage and be unique.
Hold on,
all right?
time out, E.
Yes, sir.
I want people to take the time to see what you're about to tell them right now, because everybody's just listening. I see people commenting. It's really cool. I'm looking on the YouTube channel. People are commenting. Oh yeah, what's up? Step back for a second. How should you be unique?
Here's one example to get. I appreciate you saying that, Michael. We're totally in simpatico tonight, man, and we're 2,000 miles away. Here's one example of you being a real simple way to be unique. Handwritten personal notes. Now, you may not be able to see the words on these notes, right? But you see it. It didn't take me long to reference them. They're right there. These come from a gentleman that Michael and I both know, phenomenal, very successful person that we do business with, and also sphere of influence. 12/9/2020. Edwin, just a short note to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. I appreciate you and all that you do to serve and inspire others. Don't forget you make a difference. You and Michael make a difference in the lives of many people. Dan. 2/3/2021. Edwin, just a note to tell you how much I appreciate Edge Global's motivational quotes and social media. Keep them coming. Hope all's well with your Edge Global. Thanks for all that you do for others. Dan. 3/17/2021. Edwin, hope all's well and your schedule is returning to normal. Thanks for sharing Savannah's blog post. It was powerful and conveys her courage and self-awareness. Hope our paths cross again soon. Dan.
Amen.
That's unique, brother.
I never heard that, E. I never heard. What are you doing to be unique in someone else's lives? You know how much that means to me right now, E, and I just heard it.
Yeah. And so here's a guy does he need to write these letters? No. He's being unique. That leads me to step number 2. He's being authentic in your marketing, in your branding, in your lead generation, in your lead conversion, in your client fulfillment, in all that you do. These 4 plates, ask yourself daily, is this unique? Am I separating myself? Is this authentic? Is this true to my personality? And Michael talks about this so well. I'm going to hand it back to you for a minute, Michael. Don't try to be Michael. Don't try to be Edwin. You've got to be your own person, right? Sometimes, and I mean this as humbly as I can, I encountered someone today who, Michael, you don't even know this yet, who wanted to coach with me. And I always talk about, hey, tell me about you and what you want to accomplish. You've heard me do that. And I said, and whenever you're ready, I'll tell you a little bit about me. And she said, oh, I don't need to know that. I saw you and Ed Michael speak on a stage 3 years ago. I followed you guys up. I followed you to the elevator. I stalked you up to the place. And since I've known I could be available, as soon as I found out I could coach with you, you're the only person I wanted to coach with. That was a little bit of a fan, right? But my point there is you got to be authentic to who you are, tap into your purpose, your skill set. Michael, talk about that a little bit, man, because it's so critical to what you're going to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole deal. Don't try to be Edwin. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be who your hero is. You have to take those skill sets and what they have, and you got to put it with your personality. And I say this from in the very beginning of everything. We set the stage when we first talked. And Edwin and I, on our training, in sales training and leadership training, we free fall for like 2 hours sometimes. And people are like, oh, where is this going? But it's all about setting the stage and being authentically you. That's the number one thing. People don't get that. Because we get caught up in the next thing and what we're chasing and 10X in this and being this, bro, and I got to do this. You have to be you, and you have to don't. And this is the key. This is the key for me. When I was selling those knives, I took the whole training, how to talk from a paring knife to a trimmer to a spatula to a carving set, and I learned all the features and benefits of it. And guess whose personality I put with it? Mine. That's why I said $1 million. I sold $1 million of that stuff. How did I do it? Because I took that personality. I took the product and the process, which is what we teach, right? Process, which is trust with mindset, and that's the whole key here, guys. I can't, Edwin. You have this. This is the. We're going to touch on 2 more things here, but this right here, being authentically you, that is so important, because when I flipped the script and learned how to be me with that process, that product, and that terminology, sky was the limit.
Michael, you'll recall that evening we went up there, and it was a rooftop bar overlooking a big city, and you and I did a video, and a lot of people came up, and we were very gracious and kind, but we got out of there because we had served our purpose, and they needed to do their own thing, right? They needed to lean back into who they were in their organization. And guys, you got to use some discernment sometimes about how you influence and what you influence and what your path and purpose is. And Michael and I took a gracious exit after that, so that not because we didn't want to, we had served our purpose for the day. And to go further than that was going to be more about Michael and Edwin. And Michael and Edwin are always about the audience, about our message. And that goes back to being unique and being authentic, right? It goes back to separating, why are you doing this? And Michael and I aren't doing it for the attention. We're doing it for the people. So we both said, hey, we got to bail, man. And we went to dinner. Remember that, Michael?
Yes.
Totally authentic. Yeah. So that leads to point 3. And point 3 is be intentional in all that you do. So be unique, be authentic, and then be intentional. And intentional always has a follow-up process. So I've been asking people, what do you want to accomplish in these next 90 days? What does it look like? And I let them talk about whatever it is. So I ask our audience tonight, what do you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? Whatever that is it unique? Is it authentic? Are you intentional in it? In other words, have you written it down? Is it in front of you? And even better, and Michael does this so well, I'm going to hand it back to you for a minute, brother, on the gap, right? Is it on a whiteboard somewhere? You see it. Is it measurable? Is it sustainable, right? And do you have a process to attack it? Talk about that a minute, Michael.
Yeah, when it comes to being unique and authentic, that's like, we can do that with our daily routines, but to be intentional, you have to be intentional about being intentional. And I have this, the reason I say that is because my whiteboard's right here. I can pull it over to you, but it'd be a train wreck because it's a big old whiteboard. But I have to write these things down. And what I do is define the gap. I'm like, okay, here's what I want at the very top of the page. I have this at the very top. And then I have where we are right now. How much is it? 8 months ago in June, I wrote down our Newman Construction, have a construction company. We were 0. Some of you know the story, and I had no business. And I did this on this exact whiteboard. I did this, a circle. It was a big 0, nothing going on. Well, here was the problem. COVID had come in. I'd lost our leader of that company that I'd had for over 30 years. And then COVID hit, and it was for nursing homes and retirement centers. So we couldn't go into those places. So this company who had, a couple dozen employees was about to go under. So I had 0. What do I do? So what I did is I was being intentional about what I wanted. Here's what I need. This was need to survive. Sometimes it's survival mode. I pulled it up there, and at the bottom, here's where we were. That 0, I erased it. Well, I'm proud to tell you, January of this year, there was $1.2 million put in that funnel from June to this year. And it was because of Shuffle. Now, I can tell you that whole story. We'll go into that. And the reality is I would have gotten some business without Shuffle, yes. But what we did with Shuffle was able to build momentum and put us in that because of one thing, and one thing only, Edwin. I was intentional about being intentional. When I did define the gap, and when I did put what needed to happen, I showed up every day. I looked at it. I had written it down. I transferred it to my next day, into my next day, into my next day. And I was intentional about following the plan. And I inspected what I expected. I pulled the white gloves out daily. And more importantly, when it's really quiet, nobody else is watching, because there's days you have pretty good days, and you're like, man, today went pretty good, and I really didn't do everything I was supposed to. And then we just kind of let it go. Are you intentional about inspecting yourself and holding yourself into check, putting yourself up against the process, the trust process? That's where the difference is. When you have those pretty good days and you could have done more, and then you say, oh, I could have done more, so I just let it go. No, you have to be intentional about holding yourself to this level, because that's the difference. And it's not like one day, it's 2 days. It's just building those repetitions about being intentional, which builds muscle memory.
So true, Michael. And, the evidence supports that. We talk about, benefit and evidence. The evidence supports that. When Michael and I consult and help people measure their businesses and grow their businesses, those that come to us and they complain about whatever, right? Complaining is not a strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Right? You cannot control that. And so you can always find an excuse. What this process that we're talking about tonight does is it takes away all the excuses. When you're unique, when you're authentic, when you implement, when you're intentional, right? It takes away so you don't have to lead with excuses, right? For why you're not accomplishing. You get to focus on what you have accomplished, take a little minute for a little victory lap briefly. And then then that's very important. And most people don't give themselves that, especially the high drivers. And then they go forward next. And what's my next measurable target? Oftentimes we measure things in months, but really Michael and I look more at seasons, like quarters, because sometimes months overlap, right? Give yourself a tactical and strategic measurable plan. Be unique, be authentic, all right? Be intentional. And the last step tonight is to be consistent in your branding, in your social media. Oftentimes it looks like Michael and I are just, free falling. We're having a good time. We're saying, hey, we're here. We're doing this. We're doing that. I assure you, none of that it's all intentional. Are we having fun? Are we, or do we get to travel to cool places? Yes. But there is an intentionality and a consistency in our messaging, right? Whether it's our Facebook posts, our Instagram, our shuffle messaging, all of those things, there's an intentionality behind it and there's a consistency behind it that is designed, right, to drive your influence to create sustainable and predictable results that allows you to provide for yourself and your family and help a lot of people along the way. But Michael, there's a word, it's your word, I'm going to let you close it tonight, brother, that goes before consistency, right? You like to be I'll give you the word, brother. You finish them up tonight. There's a word that goes before the consistency.
I got it. And here's the deal. I heard that a whole bunch years ago about you got to be consistent. Just be consistent. Show up every day, dude. And then, you know what? And here's what I love.
It's a casual glance, right? It's a casual glance.
Consistency is a casual glance. And you know where this whole story, where this word came from, I'm going to tell you. I usually don't tell people this, and I'm going to tell you tonight. I was on vacation with a bunch of friends, and we were at the beach. We were in the Cancun, Mexico, many, many years ago. And I had jumped out in the street, and they had all these crabs running around everywhere. They were like all over the road, so I had the cab driver stop. And I jumped out, and I got this big old crab. And I said, oh, so it was a friend of ours that didn't go into town that night, he and his wife. So I had myself and my wife and a couple of friends, and I had this big old crab, man. It was huge. It had these big pinchers on it. And I was like, we got back and said, I'm going to put this in John. His name's John, Uncle John. So I'm going to put this in John's room. So I got there. I was beating on the door. John was not coming to. I beat him. I mean, I had probably beat on the door for 45 minutes of my evening after we got back.
I can see that.
Everybody, all my friends, my wife, everybody left. They were like, man, the joke's over. He ain't going to answer. Jeez. So then here comes, 45 minutes later, here comes this old security guard moseying by. And he's like, you okay? And I said, I need to get in my room, sir. So in Cancun, they don't check IDs. So guess what he did? Unlocked the door. I threw the sliding glass door. I flipped the crab into their suitcase. Then I jumped on their bed, and he's like, dude, you are relentless, because I just would not give up. When I was little, I heard my dad say that, son, you are relentless. I've heard coaches say you're relentless. So let me tell you something about that word. That little story was funny because the next day we were all going to the airport, and she had her Knight's Louis Vuitton bag. And I was like, I can't believe y'all never said anything about the crab. And she's like, what crab? I was like, you need to check that bag. So she started digging in her Louis Vuitton bag for the whole day and found, guess what, that big old crab at the airport. So I digress.
She might not have made it out of Mexico without that advice.
I know it, man. It was funny. So, but all that funniness aside, and life is true. The reason that we educate and validate, right? Edwin teaches us stuff all the time. Educate, validate is when you put it in play. And sometimes you say, oh, I do that. And you get excited because I do that. I'm good at that. Oh, yeah, I've done that. So you feel good and you know you're on the right track. And that's what happens when Edwin teaches me things, tells me what happens and what these things are and what they're about when it comes to being unique and authentic and what that means. And I'm like, oh, I do that. Educate. That's educating, and validating is when you do it. And that's the most powerful thing to me, is when I really validate those things. But being relentless, it's a huge word. I'm going to be relentless. To be able to tell yourself today, when I get up today, I'm going to be relentless. You're like, man, that's aggressive. That's powerful. I'm not sure if I can handle that or want to do that. Now, here's what I want you to do. Be relentless about one thing. One thing and one thing only, is being consistent every single day. Just be relentless about getting up at the same time every morning, going to the gym, taking the time spiritually, mentally, and physically to pour a little bit into yourself, taking those minutes. And in those, if I want to say 45 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, in that 15-minute period, when some phone call comes in, some text comes in, somebody says something, you don't jump out of your 15 minutes of my spiritual growth or my physical or mental growth. I'm going to stay with it because I told myself I was going to. I'm going to be relentless about being consistent about that. Because, for instance, Edwin, I was on my little training issue and my little physical part of my day, which, I spiritually and mentally pour into myself, and something happened. I wanted to get off right then and go get it. And I told myself, so I got a phone call and I was like, oh, I need to go right now. Well, there's nothing I could have done right then to help that situation. I had to wait till 10:30 whether I wanted to or not. I wanted to get off and go worry about it and then take my time and spend a little. No, I was relentless about staying on task. And if you'll be relentless about being one thing and one thing only, I think out of all the things we talked about, being unique and authentic and all the things you're talking about tonight, if you can be relentless about being consistent, staying with it, not worrying about the past, which creates depression. And if you think about the future, that creates anxiety. If you'll be relentless and mindfulness, and that's what Mindset of a Champion is about, bro. That's what we do, right? If you will talk about being relentless about being consistent and being mindful and staying where you are, that gives you control. That gives you control over all four things everyone's talking about tonight, E.
Yeah, fantastic, Michael. And you can feel the conviction pouring out of Michael in his words, guys. So we hope this has been valuable for you. I want to close with one just quick thing. I posted this on Facebook recently. Sometimes we perceive this pursuit of happiness and we make it too complicated. I want to give you 5 simple things to think about tonight, and we'll call it a night. It will help you be even more happy, right? More joyful in your life. And it's, again, we overcomplicate this, and it ties to everything we talked tonight. Free your heart from hatred. Okay? We can all work on that. Free your mind from worries. And worry. Yeah. Worry is the contradiction of everything we talked about tonight. Live simply, give more, and expect less. Hey, Shuffle Nation, apply those 5 things. Free your heart from hatred. Free your mind from worries. Live simply, give more, expect less. Michael and I, as 2 guys running in the front with you, I assure you, we're going to do that. We're going to lead that way. We're going to live that way. And we hope you guys will follow along there, because there's value in what we shared with you tonight. We care about you. not as assets of production, but as human beings who have so much to offer. And we just want to come along beside you and continue to pour into you. And we're humbled and we're grateful for the opportunity to spend with you tonight. Michael, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you, brother.
Edwin, appreciate you, bro. Love you, man. Love you guys. Call us if you need us. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your week. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks, E. That's good stuff, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you guys,
Take care.
man.